The legendary homeopath, where India could be very much proud to create such a wonderful homeopath. Dr.Arun Jamkar. I have two celebrity guests. We have made Maharashtra proud. Dr. Bhasme, we affectionately call him Bhishmacharya of homeopathy. Dr. Bahubali Shaha. And Bhishmacharya has recently handed over the MUH's job to another wonderful and simple man, Dr. Kavishwar. And ladies and gentlemen, indeed I am extremely happy to be here among this glowing and a proud gathering of homeopaths. I always appreciated the efforts of homeopaths done in healthcare all over the country. It is simple, it is cheap, it is affordable. The present day contest of healthcare reaching to what is called as a bottom of pyramid, which is accessible, which is affordable, is only achieved by homeopaths. And therefore, I am here to appreciate all the efforts. Great people, they have talked nicely of homeopath. I can quote several. Mahatma Gandhi ji has said, homeopathy cures a larger percentage of cases than any other method of treatment and is beyond doubt safer and more economical and a most complete medical science. This is Mahatma Gandhi. All celebrities were benefited by homeopathy. I hope you know Yehudi Menon, who was a world famous violinist. He said homeopathy is the safest and most reliable approach to ailment and has withstood the assault of established medical practice of 100 years. Mark Twain was fascinated. The introduction of homeopathy forced the old school of doctors to sit around and learn something rational nature about this business. You may honestly feel grateful that homeopathy survived the attempts of allopath, the orthodox physician, to destroy it. I am here for all the praise for this simple man, Rajan Shankaran. He carries that simplicity beyond that. Today he called this program as Simplicity of Homeopathy. I think it's the most fascinating part of the story. I visited his place long time back and was impressed by his motivation, his studies, his devotion. And I'm extremely happy that he started all his work alone and you all come to join him. I would say for him, मैं अकेले ही जा रहा था जानिबे मंजिल तक, लोग आते गए और कारवा बनता गया. I am extremely honored to address this Karma, who has taken homeopathy as a motivation. What is required now is to afford, is to offer a scientific method of proving. We need to find out that homeopathy works. And that has to be done scientifically. Now, such efforts need to be taken by all of us. Maharashtra Institute of Health Sciences, which affiliates half of homeopathic college across India, is committed to do it. We want to promote homeopathic research. I hope you all know, all of you got depressed by that article which was published in Lancet, which compared and declared rather unreligiously, rather unceremonially, and unscientifically that homeopathy is like a placebo. All of you might have read that report. I circulated to everybody. But then if you read that report, believe me, never read a scientific article by abstract, because it is their abstract. You have to read yourself. Now, this report had a meta-analysis of around 230 or 240 CRTs across the globe. And those CRTs, what's called as the clinical trials, they showed that statistically they were not in favor. But if you analyze, 115 CRTs were in favor that homeopathy works. So why you're looking at the empty part of glass? Why don't you look at the filled part of the glass? There might be little more than statistically significant data to show that those CRTs are not in favor, because whole potential, whole strength, whole successes of homeopathy are not today, till today, scientifically evaluated. So I give you this challenge that each one of you could have one success story, do a networking, do a scientific collaboration, and then you realize the importance of increasing the number of positive CRTs which shows that homeopathy works. Believe me, this is the largest force of most intellectual homeopath across the country. And this is a very, very small job for them. So what is required is a collaboration. What is required is to sit together. MUHS took a lead. We thought, let us do something. So Dr. Basme, I requested him. He invited 20 top homeopaths in Maharashtra. I put them same idea and then requested them that this need to be done. We are following. Then we had a report of a Dr. Bellary, who was the first scientific evidence to suggest that at the homeopathic dilutions of 10⁻⁻10, nanoparticles at a nano level, it still works. I discussed with Dr. Bellary. I was very proud to be accompanying on a stage in Bede, where Dr. Basme invited me there. And then we realized that we need to substantiate. We need to again do one more study of Dr. Bellary. So we requested him again in another meeting, and then we are trying to do the repetition of that whole thing, where similar studies could be done to substantiate those results. Today we are in an era of a nanotechnology. So what is required to find out is whether concentrations at nano levels still offer them homeopathic effects. Then we will be collaborating both the stories. Then it may be possible to control or to create and control dilution, because at present the dilution is not control. So create a controlled dilution of all or whatever you want in those areas and find out the effect. Research needs to be done beyond. I am fascinated by whole philosophy of you dividing people into animal kingdom, plant kingdom, and mineral kingdom. You go into periodic table and vertical and horizontal and whatnot, and then whatever small dilutions they have, you create a personality and you try to match. And that matching personality leads you to diagnose. And then you decide the hypothesis that in that dilution, that particular element will work. Now, my question to you is whether this classification according to homeopathic principles, is it genetically based? Think like, think loud, because that is what is required. Today, we are going into era of a genomic basis for the disease. Whole human genome project is out, so we know exactly what genes are, and maybe what is required is to create the genomic basis. MHS is trying to do something more. We had applied to DBT for Center of Excellence in Genomics, where we'll be working on these three areas: homeopathic genomics, Ayurvedic genomics concerning kapha pitta vata, and pharmacogenomics concerning the drug susceptibility of the disease. And that might be something that requires. Maybe what is required today is to identify now that how you can classify, maybe come to a concrete conclusion that instead of having 200 and 300 types, maybe come down to some plausible type, because I don't know anything homeopathy. What is required is to find out whether it could be done. I'm fascinated by whole philosophy. I read the book from Dr.Arun Jamkar and the other song, which is the first principle which suggests that the internal milieu is more important in diagnosis of disease. There's something in eye, that I-ness has to be matched. And then once there is no tuning between I-ness and the external surroundings, you land up with disease. And then you go out, that whole philosophy that it starts from the skin and then subsequently goes in. And then what is important is this delicate psychological internal balance that leads to the disease. World over, now we are thinking all the time in terms of finding out whether all these principles lead to disease. And I am extremely proud to say that homeopathy thought lot many before. And this other song from where the name comes, I hope you all know, is very famous poem by Rabindranath Tagore. I quote, "The song that I came to sing remains unsung to these days. Even today, I am still practicing the note and only have the wish to sing. I can't get the right note yet. It is still not coming together. Only in the inner recess of my life remains the restfulness of the song. I came out alone on my way to my trust. But who is this that follows me in the silent dark?" I repeat, who is this that follows me in the silent dark? I move aside to avoid his presence, but I escape him not. He makes the dust rise from the earth with the swagger. He adds his loud voice to every word that I utter. He is my own little self, my Lord. He knows no shame, but I am ashamed to come to thy door in his company. This is Gitanjali. So I think what I want to convince upon you is this whole philosophy of an psychiatric or maybe psychological basis of the disease need to be explored. So I have a hypothesis that homeopathy would work best in psychiatric disorders. So why not try to do something more in these areas and find out whether this will give you some credit. I think I'm here to appreciate the efforts of this great man. I went to his place. It is a wonderful institute. You go there and you never think that such an institute can exist in India. It's entirely to the international standard. The best part of the story is he doesn't want to keep all that knowledge, all that expense to himself. He not only goes outside and internationally and then delivers all these lectures where he has a very large audience. He does it in India. So we wanted him to do research. He had applied for PhD and we are recently recognizing him for PhD in homeopathy. We want him to do better work in this sensation method, so we are recognizing him for fellowship in sensation method. So for all his efforts, he's doing it single-handedly for the promotion of homeopathy. I think he requires a standing ovation. Thank you. This great man, still simple, very humble. I think he is a role model for all homeopaths. He would make definitely a contribution towards betterment of homeopathy, creating holistic medicine. What I want him to do is, while he is delivering lectures, maybe small components of case stories may be uploaded on YouTube. So it's all available for you. So at the end, I will end by saying him, तुम थक कर न बैठ जाना कि तेरी उड़ान अभी बाकी है, अभी तो जमीन नापी है और सारा आसमान बाकी है.